She was 17 years old when she was killed. She was the youngest daughter of an emperor, a sister, a child of Orthodox Russia, and in the end she died, not as a princess in a palace, but as a Christian in captivity. That is the true measure of Grand Duchess Anastasia Nikolaevna Romanova, not the myths that followed her, not the speculation that tried to keep her alive in rumor, but the quiet endurance of a girl who met suffering without surrendering her spirit. To understand what was taken from the world in Ekaterinburg in July 1918, one must understand what Anastasia represented, not merely as a member of a fallen dynasty, but as a daughter of a Christian civilization that was being violently unmade. Anastasia was born on June 5, 1901, at Peterhof, the fourth daughter of Emperor Nicholas II and Empress Alexandra Feodorovna. The imperial couple already had 3 daughters, Olga, Tatiana, and Maria, and the court anxiously awaited a son who would secure the succession. Her birth did not fulfill that hope, yet the emperor recorded her arrival with tenderness in his diary, noting her measurements and thanking God. In honor of her birth, charitable gestures were made, debts forgiven, schools opened. From her first days, her life was bound to the symbolic life of the Russian people. She was named for Princess Anastasia of Montenegro, a close friend of her mother. On June 17th, she was baptized at the Church of the Grand Palace. At her baptism, she received the Order of St. Catherine, a decoration that spoke less to personal merit than to the weight of lineage. She had been alive scarcely 2 weeks. Yet the child who grew beneath that weight was anything but solemn. Those who knew her remembered energy, quick wit, and an irrepressible sense of humor. Her tutor, Pierre Gilliard, affectionately called her Sunbeam. Her mother called her Imp. She climbed trees, played elaborate pranks, slid down staircases on trays, and laughed easily. She did not behave as though she sensed the fragility of her world. She behaved as a child secure in love. Anastasia shared a room with her sister Maria. Together they were known as the younger pair, while Olga and Tatiana were the older pair. The sisters were raised with a surprising simplicity for imperial children. They slept on camp beds, took cold baths, mended their own clothing. Anastasia was particularly devoted to her younger brother, Alexei, whose hemophilia meant that pain shadowed his childhood. She sat beside him during his suffering and tried to cheer him. Her joy was not frivolous, it was medicinal. She was generous in small, childlike ways. She loved perfume, and once poured a large amount onto her nursemaid so she would smell like a bouquet. She kept sweets in her pockets. She delighted in small pleasures. There was no arrogance in her manner, no cultivated hauteur. Those who met her frequently remarked on her openness. Her education began formally at age 7. She studied Russian grammar, history, geography, arithmetic, natural sciences, music, dancing, and languages, French, English, and German. She was not a particularly disciplined student in mathematics, which she teasingly called piggishness, but she loved literature and drawing. She painted in watercolor, played balalaika and guitar, and joined her mother at the piano to play Chopin and Tchaikovsky. Beneath the mischief, there was seriousness. At 14, she was named honorary commander of the Caspian 148th Infantry Regiment. She signed her letters to her father, Caspian. It was not a trivial honor to her. She understood that service, even symbolic service, mattered. The First World War altered the atmosphere of the imperial household. While Olga and Tatiana trained and worked as nurses, Anastasia and Maria supported the hospital at Tsarskoye Selo in quieter ways, preparing bandages, knitting garments, visiting wounded soldiers. Anastasia sat with the injured, played games, read aloud, wrote letters on behalf of men too weak to hold a pen. In her diary, she noted the deaths of soldiers she had sat beside only days before. Her youthful lightness deepened into compassion. Years later, in exile, she would write that her hospital visits had been among the happiest days of her life. That happiness was not born of privilege, but of service. The revolution came not as a single moment, but as a gradual unraveling. In early 1917, the children were ill with measles when unrest intensified. Heating and electricity failed. Guards appeared. On March 9th, they were told that their father had abdicated. The framework of their existence, the court, the regiments, the ceremonies, dissolved almost overnight. By August 1917, the family had been sent to Tobolsk. In the spring of 1918, they were moved again, this time to Ekaterinburg, to the Ipatiev House, renamed by their captors the House of Special Purpose. The name carried a bureaucratic chill. Anastasia turned 17 in captivity. Those who saw her in those final months described a girl still capable of laughter, though subdued by confinement. She sewed with her sisters. She read spiritual books aloud to her mother. She helped bake bread. She had gained weight during imprisonment and was shy about it, a reminder that even in exile she remained a teenager. The last known drawing found in the Grand Duchess's room depicted swings hanging between birch trees, a simple image of movement and open air. On the night of July 16th to 17th, 1918, the family was led to the basement under the pretense of relocation. What followed was brutal and chaotic. Gunfire did not kill all instantly. Confusion and smoke filled the room. Anastasia was among those who did not die at the first volley. She endured further violence before her life ended. Accounts vary in detail, but what is undisputed is that she died alongside her parents and siblings, faithful and unresisting. For decades afterward, rumors persisted that she had survived. Nearly 30 women claimed her identity. The persistence of those stories says less about historical uncertainty than about human longing. It was easier for many to imagine escape than to accept the finality of that night. In 1981, the Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia canonized the imperial family as passion bearers, those who meet suffering with Christ-like humility. In 2000, the Moscow Patriarchate did the same. The Church did not canonize them for political authority, but for the manner in which they endured humiliation, imprisonment, and death without renouncing faith. Anastasia's life, viewed through that lens, takes on a different weight. Her mischief becomes innocence. Her service becomes compassion. Her endurance becomes witness. Historian Vladimir Lavrov wrote that the execution of the Romanovs was not merely the killing of a family, but an attempt to sever a millennium of Orthodox monarchy. Whether one accepts that framing or not, it is clear that something larger than a dynasty was extinguished in that cellar. The revolution sought not only political change, but spiritual rupture. And yet, rupture does not erase memory. It transforms it. Anastasia has come to represent not lost imperial splendor, but steadfastness amid collapse. She was not a strategist or reformer. She was a 17-year-old girl who faced captivity without hatred and death without public protest. The Church remembers her not as a symbol of state power, but as a young Christian who bore suffering patiently. The myths that followed her, the impostors, the whispered survival stories, are evidence of grief that refused to settle. But the Orthodox remembrance of her is quieter. It does not insist she escaped. It insists she remained faithful. Power can be overthrown. Thrones can be dismantled. Regalia can be locked in museums. But sanctity does not depend on survival. It depends on how one endures. Grand Duchess Anastasia Nikolaevna Romanova did not live to adulthood. She did not marry. She did not rule. She did not see Russia restored. Her life was brief, bounded by palace walls and prison gates. Yet, in that short span, she revealed something enduring: joy unspoiled by privilege, compassion sharpened by war, and a final witness given not in triumph, but in quiet suffering. The basement in Ekaterinburg was meant to end a dynasty. Instead, it created martyrs. And among them was a girl who once slid down staircases on trays, laughed too loudly at dinner, and signed her letters Caspian. The world that destroyed her has long since changed. The Church that remembers her still prays. Her story does not end with gunshots. It ends in canonization, and in the conviction that even in history's darkest rooms, innocence can endure.